and I'm an educator by profession. My husband and I have 2 K-8 charter schools. One of them we opened purposefully in a low-income, underprivileged neighborhood. Our purpose was to provide equitable education to the underprivileged students. And we're very proud of that fact. And we're also very proud to be a part of this group here that is dedicated to serving the underprivileged people in Phoenix, Arizona. We have planned for an informative and a productive meeting. Of course, part of the purpose of the meeting is to hear our distinguished guest speakers who will join us in speaking in a few minutes. We want to hear from our founders and the leaders of Sahara. We would also like to do some fundraising. That is one of the purposes of this program. And let me name some of the distinguished guests we have. First, we have the Secretary of State, Adrian Fontes. Then we also have with us Lauren Kuby, the Honorable State Senator, Lauren Kuby. We also have a member of Chandler council member who will be here hopefully later, Matt Orlando. And then we have, let me see if I can pronounce it correctly, Raquel Tehran. Did I get it right? Okay. Thank you for being here. The word Sahara, that is what's the name of the organization. We can also pronounce it as Sahara. How many of you think of the big desert when you hear of the word Sahara? Are those one of the first thoughts you have? Sahara has multiple meanings. In Urdu language, that's my native language, Sahara means support. The word Sahara means hope. The word Sahara means to help. To help is the purpose of this particular organization. To help the underprivileged, to shore people up, to be there for the support. How many of you have been or are natives of the state of Arizona? Please raise your hand.
Well, I'm here 30 years.
Some. Okay, there are a few. How many of you have been here for several decades now?
Right there.
Okay, over the years, we have noticed how the population has grown in Arizona. Not only the population growth, but its diversity in population. There are challenges that pertain to literacy, English as a second language learner. There are challenges that pertain to financial sustainability, which includes the life skills that we need to be financially successful. There are challenges, health-related challenges, and of course, some domestic issues. Sahara, after giving a lot of thought, is addressing these 4 areas. Let me summarize them once again. The first one, of course, they have the learning center. The second one, they're looking at the life skills, the training program. The third one is dear to many of the people's heart here, is the safe shelter for women and children, and it may be for men later. And of course, the dear to Dr. Naveed's heart is the health clinic that he wants to support, provide affordable care to the low-income individuals. It is with immense honor that I do introduce you to Sahara, which of course in Urdu again, hope, help, and some of the other words we can use. And you are a Sahara and a supporter of someone who needs help. Sahara is a 501c3 not-for-profit organization, and its purpose is to provide help to Arizona's underprivileged people. The vision of Sahara is a result of dedication and commitment of two extraordinary individuals. One is Selina Imam. Selina, are you here? Selina has lived in the Valley area for almost 30 years, so a long-term native. I would say call her almost a native at this point, but she's been here for 30 years. She's deeply committed. Her goal is to have culturally specific support services. Also, her interest is, of course, the safe shelter, but the empowering of learning, or the learning centers that Dr. Naveed and Selina have put together. And I happened to visit that a few weeks ago. I would like to introduce also, to give a little bit of background about Dr. Naveed. Dr. Naveed is the co-founder, just like Selina is. He was raised by a single mother because she became a widow at a young age. He had 5 siblings. So Dr. Naveed understands what facing difficulties are all about. And he knows the value of hard work, and hard work will lead to success. As an educator, I always share that with my students. Healthcare, again, is Dr. Naveed's baby. He has been instrumental, and today we are here to celebrate the grand opening ceremony of the Sahara's healthcare program. We, right now, will have a video about the program, so maybe have a video, please. If you're getting ready for the video, we can have another speaker come and talk about while we're waiting, because we are very pressed for time. So I'm going to ask Daniel Luna to please help us here. Daniel has assisted with the launch and expansion of over 250 small businesses. She secured about a $2 million grant and has been a planning chair for local diversity initiatives, including the Global Market, Global Village Fest, and World Bazaar Phoenix. She's a native, not a transplant like some of us, and enjoys traveling. She holds a Master's of Education in Global Training and has a dual bachelor's degree in journalism and political science. Please help me welcome Daniel Luna.
Good evening, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here, and wonderful to follow Ms. Andrum, as she has spoken like a true educator and really educated us on what Sahara means and so much of the incredible work of the organization. I want to start out just by sharing how grateful I am to be here with you all tonight, and give a special thanks to our amazing hosts, Mr. Iram and Dr. Naveed Khan, for having us here. It's always a pleasure to see the way they care for and love the community, and tonight is no exception, so thank you so much. As mentioned, I'm Danielle Luna, and I am the vice chair on Sahara's board, I'm sorry, I'm working on my pronunciation. I have over 10 years experience working in economic development and also with underserved communities from various backgrounds. And throughout that work, you start to see different trends and needs and opportunities throughout the community, both in my current work with the City of Phoenix, even prior working with nonprofits throughout the Valley. During that time, I had the opportunity to connect with Sister Selina and see the amazing work that she's been doing. I think, she's about 30 years in of experience here in social work. And I know Dr. Naveed Khan, the same can be said for him. We were joking they started when they were 5 years old, surely. But for anyone who knows them and has had an opportunity to see them in action, they really, truly were born for this work. It's in their blood, and it's just a tremendous honor of mine to have been able to see the vision and the foundation laid with Sahara programs over the last year. It's hard to believe that it's just been about a year, but in that time span, the organization has launched a learning center as mentioned, has launched a domestic violence shelter in Phoenix. And the momentous occasion that we're here to celebrate tonight, the launch of the free medical center. That's free, no cost, serving people that are uninsured from all backgrounds, and that is a huge need and opportunity for our community that is made possible through the generous donations of the community, of you, of medical professionals, of partners throughout the community. So thank you so much for your support of the organization throughout this year. I was reading an article this week that Michael Jordan had just launched a similar clinic, a free clinic in North Carolina to help serve the uninsured. And I think this is his 4th clinic, which is incredibly impressive. As we know, he's a billionaire, got some big pockets, so that's great to see. But I'm truly impressed and amazed by the generous hearts and contributions of the community that we have here. Do we have some billionaires here? And if we do, please come up, because we have some great opportunities for you to invest in the organization and continue support. But really, it's everyday people coming together and seeing that there's a need in the community and wanting to be a part of the change. When times get difficult, it's community that we have to lean on. And I have been so thoroughly impressed by the collaboration of so many partners, more than a dozen partners. We have ASU, the Rumi Center, who's helping at the Education Center. If you haven't been there to see the kids learning and going through the tutoring and playing and the excitement that they have, it is a beautiful space that really gives dignity to victims. In times of economic hardship, there is especially a rising need with domestic violence cases. And so it's incredible to see that Sahara has been responsive to be able to provide a space that can feel like home, that can give dignity, that can not only provide the safe space, but connect to jobs, connect to learning opportunities, get a driver's license, right? It's not just the core services, but really personalized support depending on the needs of the individual, which I find to be truly impressive. And then the medical center, which we'll be seeing more on video here today, a lot of exciting things to come here. There are over a dozen doctors who are part of that board, who are dedicating their time and contributing to that mission. So many hands, so many people passionate about moving Sahara programs forward. So I encourage you to reflect on the success of Sahara up till this point in such a short time. It's really been impressive, and it's a tribute to the amazing partnerships of this local community, of the work of Dr. Naveed Khan and the work of Sister Selena over so many years, and the work of so many of you to speak up for what's needed and actually invest in that work. When you contribute to Sahara programs, it can benefit generations, it can benefit for years to come. So I'd also like you to reflect tonight on how you want to be a part of the mission and how you can contribute, whether it's through volunteering, whether it's through mentorship, whether it's through partnership with your organization or an investment. I know we have a payment coming due, second payment on the domestic violence shelter. I think it's $100,000 that's coming due by the end of Ramadan. It's completely, zakat eligible, tax deductible. So a lot of different ways that you can contribute and participate with your organization, but I'd love for you, as you're reflecting on the video, as you hear the vision, that Dr. Naveed Khan has for the medical center, I want you to reflect on the ways that you too could be a part of the mission and the change that we hope to see through this continued collaboration. So thank you so much.
Thank you for your inspirational thoughts there. I would like to now call. We'll watch the video right now. Thank you.
She was facing that way, unfortunately. So if you guys want to have a seat up there, if you don't mind, right here. The chair's right there. Thank you. Sorry, yeah.
That means education. Teaching the underserved, specifically immigrants and refugees, how to read, write, and drive.
Right there.
We even offer job training and resume building for those who need it. Meet Farida Naeed Hamder. She worked for the Ministry of Education in Afghanistan and even produced children's programming for the PCC in her country. Her goal now is to learn English so she can get back to her passion of helping kids learn. Sahara is helping her do that.
It's very good in this English learning program. Very important and very, it's good for us, for everybody, because they improve English. Improve English, I work better, study better, it's very good.
But it happened.
Sahara is proud of its learning center and believes education is important on the pathway to success.
My name is Naveed. The Sahara program has been helping me to try to get a job. Plus, my kids come to the school to learn. It's a really great program. I appreciate their time and their effort to help me and help my kids. I think that.
Yeah.
So are health services. That's why the nonprofit is partnering with several area doctors to provide a free health clinic. It provides services to impoverished communities and uninsured patients. Dr. Naveed Khan is a Sahara board member in charge of the medical clinic. He says it takes a village to make the clinic work.
Like if you look at the mobile clinic truck or van, it is a very costly thing. It was donated by my mom. So these are the and other stuff also are donated by other people, like medical equipment, other stuff, and all the doctors are volunteers. So we will pay somebody for like a full-time management, like office manager, but that's all.
Sahara keeps its overhead to a minimum to provide maximum support to those who need it. Including survivors of domestic abuse. Survivors like this woman, we're keeping her identity a secret. The mother of 3 was married for 12 years. We won't go into details to protect her identity. But we can tell you that her husband constantly beat her. She calls it torture. To help her and others like her, Sahara set up a domestic violence shelter and emergency assistance program, helping survivors feel safe and secure. The shelter provides culturally specific services, including temporary housing, counseling, legal assistance, safety planning, and life skills, just to name a few. That means cooking the foods they want to cook, praying the way they want to pray, and dressing the way they want to dress. Sharbari Chowdhury is a domestic violence victim advocate.
We try to keep it as friendly to their culture as possible. So we know that there is a certain sect, they only eat halal food. So we would make sure that all the food in the house that comes is halal food. We would make sure that if they are wearing their hijabs or their traditional clothes or their salwar kameez or their saris, it's okay to do that in the house.
Board member Maher Arakat knows a thing or two about being a refugee. He's one himself and is living the American dream. He's gone through the refugee process. He says he knows what it takes to be an American and has advice for those arriving on our shores looking for a better life.
So yes, get him to assimilate, get him to become part of the American society, get him to have a sense of belonging. And obviously, once they come here, they're Americans, so they need to belong, they need to assimilate, they need to mix.
Sahara needs your help fulfilling its mission. Volunteer. No act of kindness is ever wasted. Or donate. No amount is ever too small. More information is at saharaprograms.org. Help Sahara with its goal to give hope, empower, and enrich.
We are going to make a slight change. We would like to ask our Secretary of State to please come and share a few words with us. And Secretary of State Adrian Montes.
Thank you very much for coming out. I'm going to be brief in what I have to say, but I am going to tell a little bit of story that not too many people have heard about my experience that is not dissimilar to the mission, that's not dissimilar to the mission of Sahara. Many people know I spent time in the Marine Corps. I'm an attorney by trade, and I've been fighting for justice and for marginalized communities for a great deal of time. But what a lot of people don't know is the reason I ended up going to law school is because when I was coming out of the Marine Corps, my former wife, my wife at the time, got a job at the Maricopa County Bar Association. And the Young Lawyers Division had a committee that was called the Domestic Violence Committee, and they helped shelters. And they needed some help moving supplies, diapers and food from where they had them to the shelters. And I had a pickup truck. About the shelter system and what was required to maintain and take care of these folks who were finding themselves in these sometimes desperate situations. And that wasn't the end of the, because then when I was in law school in my second year, I was a participant in the VAWA-funded Domestic Violence Civil Justice Project, where as a Juris Doctorate student, I was paired up with Masters of Social Work students, and we helped victims of violence through the legal part of what they were doing. And so what I have experienced in helping folks who are in some of the most vulnerable moments in their lives where they have the fewest amount of resources is part of what has driven me through and helped me to get to the place where I am now, where I do advocate for the voting rights of marginalized communities. As Maricopa County Recorder, many of you remember, we did more outreach into traditionally underserved communities than ever before. That's a reflection of that work. And now as Secretary of State, the same thing is important to me. But it's even more poignant now when we find ourselves in this nation and religious minorities, women, people of color, our LGBTQ communities, all folks who don't fit a very narrow definition find themselves to a degree under attack and at the very least under threat. If there was ever a time for organizations like this, for communities like this to come together and to help one another, now is that time. As we see threats against Medicare and Medicaid, as we see threats against Social Security, the need for a free clinic, the need for a domestic violence shelter because of the economic pressures that are being put on families. This is the time for this kind of help, this kind of organization to happen. And I'm very proud to be here to help. So kudos to the doctors and the social workers and the nurses and the families who work so hard in all those areas, even the lawyers. There's a couple of lawyers who are here to help, who are here to make this community come together in the recognition of the fact that there's one really, really wonderful thing that we can do with the prosperity and the abundance that this nation provides, and that is to share it. Because what good is it once you're gone? If you've got so much, sharing it now and being able to enjoy the gratification that you have of helping those who are in those spaces. Now, in public service, we share of our time, we share of our energy, we share of our skills, and we try to do these sorts of things. This is what community building is about. These projects, Sahara projects, are really worthy. And I think they're more necessary than ever. I didn't want to talk a lot about politics today because we have people who are going so much farther beyond those impersonal things into helping individuals who really need it. And so that's what I wanted to focus on this evening as I speak. I'm very, very sorry that I can't stay very long with you tonight. It is a distinct honor. It is humbling to have been invited to come and speak with you, particularly on this breaking of fast evening. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for supporting the Sahara projects. Thank you very much.
Didn't we just love what he said? Let's give him a big hand before he leaves. I would like to ask the Honorable Senator Kubi to please come and say a few words.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me on this lovely evening. I think so much. The first time I've been to the Khan family ranch, I hope not the last time. I'll behave myself. I'm used to getting into good trouble, but I'll stay good. And I want to just say I'm here as a devotee for Selina Imam. She has brought me to this world, and I'm so humbled to be in your presence. And you and I go back a long ways when I was in the city of Tempe, vice mayor, and I learned so much from you because we had lots of food distribution sites and projects. But Selina understood like no one else that you don't expect the people to come to you. You need to go where people are and meet them literally where they are. So there's a community in my city, a community called La Victoria, one of our oldest communities and neighborhoods, very much underserved, many people living in the shadows. And so what did Selina do with ICNA Relief? She established a food distribution at the Santa Margarita Church. And people would come and gather food boxes, culturally appropriate food boxes, but also she worked with the community. So there were members that came from the community and brought food to people that were living in the shadows that were terrified, frankly, to come even to the church to get food because they thought they would be identified as undocumented. And so I thank you so much for all that work. And I think back to that time, and now we're in far more danger than even before. So you inspire me every day, and thank you for inviting me here. I just want to say that, we are all in the fight for justice, all of us here, so many in the state of Arizona, and we are fighting for economic justice, for environmental justice, for social justice, for racial justice. And this is a very hard time in our state and our country. And we rely, I want to give you an apology from the state legislature because we spend a lot of time in the legislature fighting against bad bills. We try and defeat bad bills. We don't spend nearly as much time and energy to create good in the world. And for that, I humbly apologize to you. It's sad in a way that we need to look to the religious community and to communities throughout our state to be the ones with solutions. We shouldn't be fighting these solutions. We should be embracing them. So it's my goal, my aspiration. I'm the grandma of a new grandson. His name is Marlo. I'm so delighted to be a second-time grandma. And I can't but help look at my grandchildren and think about what world are they going to inherit? And what decisions are we making today that are going to constrain the decisions they need to make tomorrow? And so it's groups like you, it's Dr. Khan, it's Selina, it's all of you that are doing the good work, and sometimes that leads to good trouble. But we know that with groups like you who serve the community in every way and go to where people are, that we will find a more just and equitable world. I thank you for all that you're doing, and thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, Senator Kubi, for supporting our program here and fighting for the justice. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Pray full star right now, and then we'll have Dr. Naveed share his vision. Okay, right. Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll break for a song and a full star.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله